For decades, Africa's wealth left its soil, while its people remained poor. But now, a bold wave of change is rising. From Ibrahim Traoré in Burkina Faso to Ghana's gold reforms, resources that once vanished abroad are staying home, empowering miners, communities, and nations. Gold is no longer just minerals. It is power, dignity, and the key to Africa's independence. Across the continent, countries are watching, learning, and taking control. This is Africa's moment, a fight for sovereignty, a challenge to old systems, and the birth of a future shaped by Africans themselves. Ibrahim Traoré declared that he would never allow Africa's wealth to leave its soil while its people remained in poverty. Controlling our gold means controlling our future, with no foreign power dictating it. In early 2025, Ghana experienced something astonishing. For decades, gold production was seen as slow, limited, or difficult to scale. Yet within just 4 months, from January to April, the nation earned $2.7 billion from gold exports, surpassing earnings from entire previous years. Export volumes surged from roughly 7,500 kilograms in 2023 to over 30,000 kilograms in 2025. Citizens wondered if a new mine had been discovered. But the truth was simpler. No new mines, no miracle tech. The gold had always been there. The real change came when the government finally ended the long-standing smuggling, leaks, and theft that had drained the nation. Wealth that once vanished abroad now fueled Ghana's economy, giving ordinary citizens hope for a future where their natural resources benefit them directly. The problem had never been scarcity, but systemic corruption. Between 2019 and 2023, 229 metric tons of gold disappeared, worth $11.4 billion, funds that could have built hospitals, schools, and roads. Smugglers moved gold via known routes through Togo, Burkina Faso, Mali, or directly to Dubai, sometimes carrying bars as hand luggage. Foreign buyers from nations like the UAE and Switzerland acquired gold cheaply, paid minimal taxes, and exported the profits, while local miners remained impoverished and middlemen enriched themselves. This organized network was widely known yet unchecked, making theft seem intractable. The real issue was the system, not the gold itself. Foreign companies from Canada, Australia, South Africa, and the UK mined gold in Ghana but processed it abroad, leaving the country with no control over pricing or profits. Government officials often colluded, overlooked irregularities, and let billions exit the nation. Early taxes, such as the 3% levy in 2019, inadvertently pushed miners towards smuggling, and even adjustments failed because the system was fundamentally broken. Millions of artisanal miners endured dangerous conditions, yet remained at the bottom of the wealth chain, witnessing outsiders grow rich while they suffered. Ghana finally broke this cycle. Inspired by Burkina Faso, where Captain Ibrahim Traoré had banned raw gold exports, built a national refinery, and brought mines under state control, Ghana followed suit. Traoré ensured that resources benefited the nation first, raised the state's mining share, enforced transparency, and tightened oversight, yielding immediate results. Reserves increased, the local currency stabilized, and the economy breathed easier. Ghana adopted the same philosophy in 2025, establishing the Ghana Gold Board with strong powers to oversee all gold trading. Foreign traders who previously exploited loopholes were excluded, local buyers prioritized, tax and reinvestment rules clarified, and Ghanaian businesses encouraged to operate refineries and trading houses. Small-scale miners, long ignored, were integrated into the formal market with fair prices and support. Within months, the policy shift yielded tangible results. More gold declared, export value increased, and public coffers swelled. To safeguard gains, Ghana established the Ghana Gold Task Force, a security team using GPS-tracked vehicles, body cameras, and surveillance to monitor gold from mine to export. Informants recovering smuggled gold could earn up to 10% of its value, incentivizing honesty and courage. Plans for a nationwide track and trace system and an ISO-certified lab by 2026 ensured that every gram could be accounted for and purity verified, making smuggling harder and honest trade easier. These measures made smuggling far more difficult, fraud risk riskier, and honest trading simpler. Enforcement sent a strong message: rules must be obeyed, and theft now carries real financial and legal consequences. Most importantly, small miners gained safe market access and fair compensation. The enforcement revolution demonstrated that when laws are supported by practical tools and incentives, a nation can plug leaks and let its wealth truly benefit its people. The outcomes in Ghana stunned the continent. Numbers didn't just improve, they skyrocketed. Between January and April 2025, gold exports reached $2.7 billion. By May, totals rose to $5 billion, and by August, they surpassed $6 billion. These weren't projections, they were real revenue flowing into Ghana's economy. Even more historic, for the first time, small-scale miners out-exported large multinational companies. Miners previously ignored and exploited doubled their output once offered fair prices and a transparent system. Large corporations, once dominant, were suddenly second. Ghana's currency strengthened, foreign reserves increased, and financial breathing space expanded, with the central bank holding over 37 tons of gold. Simply stopping the leaks transformed everything. No new mines or technology, just honesty, oversight, and smart rules. The message was clear: when a nation secures its resources, results follow immediately. Ghana's success ignited a continental wave of new thinking. Countries began examining the numbers and asking, if they can do it, why not us? Mali, worried about massive gold smuggling, looked to Ghana as a model. Niger, after cutting ties with France, recognized that controlling gold could strengthen its economy. Tanzania reconsidered stricter policies. Zimbabwe publicly praised Ghana's reforms as a modern answer to colonial-era exploitation. African finance ministers and the African Development Bank endorsed similar initiatives, fostering confidence, courage, and opportunity. Africa was no longer begging for aid, it was reclaiming its power. Ghana's transformation thrilled the continent, but unnerved Western boardrooms, where European and North American mining companies had long dominated production, pricing, and export channels. When Ghana retained wealth domestically, foreign investors panicked, issuing warnings about resource nationalism. Their fear was simple: African nations keeping their own wealth meant billions no longer left the continent, and others might follow. Loss of control over gold, oil, lithium, and other key minerals threatened old power structures. This concern, however, was Ghana's proof that dependency had been deliberate. Ghana and Burkina Faso had revealed a new path, showing that Africa can rise by controlling what it produces. The pattern is clear: stop leaks, assume ownership, enforce transparency, and wealth stays home. This is a shift from dependency to confidence. Africa doesn't need permission to manage its gold, oil, or minerals. Change requires courage, not miracles. Whether through Burkina Faso's military leadership or Ghana's democratic governance, both applied the same principle: sovereignty as a practical strategy to revive economies, support miners, and strengthen national pride. The world is watching. Ibrahim Traoré began as a young captain with a geology degree, but became a symbol of resource protection and African self-determination. By banning raw gold exports, building a refinery, and increasing state mining share, he proved that bold leadership delivers tangible results: real reserves, growth, and influence. Ghana followed, reinforcing the model, and African leaders and citizens began repeating the mantra: our wealth must serve our people. Traoré emerged as more than a president. He became the embodiment of a modern African mindset, echoing the visions of Sankara, Nkrumah, and Lumumba, with concrete 21st-century results. The journey continues, with Ghana and Burkina Faso marking the first chapter of a continental transformation. Africa, long known as a mineral-rich but poor continent, is now challenging that legacy. Ghana's reclaiming of billions in lost gold proved that systemic reform yields immediate benefits. Burkina Faso demonstrated that even small nations can rewrite rules. Mali, Niger, Tanzania, Zimbabwe, and others are preparing gold boards, refineries, and export controls. Africa's gold reckoning has begun. Raw materials are power, leverage, and opportunity. The world watches because the old order relied on African weakness. That era is ending. Nations are now choosing sovereignty, fairness, and control. Gold is not just wealth, it is dignity. As more countries adopt this approach, Africa is stepping into a future shaped and safeguarded by its own hands. This is not simply a narrative about gold. It is the story of Africa taking back control of its own destiny. Every nation that decides to manage its resources on its own terms sends a powerful message. Dependency and exploitation are no longer acceptable. Ghana and Burkina Faso have demonstrated that when leadership is bold, systems are disciplined, and rules are enforced, even decades of stolen or lost wealth can be reclaimed and reinvested for the people. Their example is sparking a wave of awakening across the continent as countries examine, adapt, and build their own protections for minerals, oil, and every valuable resource beneath their soil. The old age of quiet extraction and foreign dominance is fading. Africa is beginning to see itself not as a source of raw materials for others, but as a maker, a producer, and a protector of its own riches. The crossroads is clear. Continue forward on the road of sovereignty or risk falling back into the cycles of exploitation that lasted centuries. Ghana's transformation shows what becomes possible when leadership stands firm, systems are transparent, and citizens are placed at the center. This is a defining moment for Africa, a turning point where dignity, independence, and progress unite. The future of the continent will be shaped not by outside powers, but by its own people, their resolve, and their vision. Africa is awakening, Africa is rising, and Africa refuses to give away its wealth or its future ever again.